Back ball fans, we're going to do a preview of Georgia, and I think we got a lot of good information here today. Before we get started, remember to like, subscribe, and leave me a comment. Give us a score prediction. Or what do you think will happen in this game? Is this the game that we get off the monkey off our backs and break through? And that's primarily what I want to know is score prediction. Is this the game? Uh, Before we get into a whole lot, I want to just say that, me and Tim couldn't be here tonight, so I'm going to record this by myself, but appreciate you greatly. We're not, experts by no means. I know I've said it a couple times on other videos. I just want to make sure that's clear. We do love talking about the football game. We like predicting what will happen. It's just something we enjoy doing. No expert, but I think we do have some knowledge, and on this channel, we have mentioned several times when we're right, and we mentioned it, and when we're wrong, we mention it several more times. So we don't care to, say one, say the other as well. Uh, but we will try to give you a honest perception of this game. I feel like some channels don't do that, and I'm not bashing any particular channel or anything like that, but I just know that it's kind of a known fact that if you want more views, more subscribers, you should talk up your team that you're doing. And never say negative stuff, talk about everybody's going to be an All-American, and just, overall rainbows. And I try not to do that. I mean, I'm a little bit of a UT fan at heart, and I try to give it to you honest, but I also got a little bit of orange glasses, but I'm going to tell you exactly what I think. All right, let's get into the game. All right. First thing I want to talk about is what kind of Georgia teams come into town, and what kind of potential strengths and weaknesses. And I'm going to give some keys to the game. And there's one particular one I don't know if you'll hear anywhere else. I've not heard it after listening to podcast after podcast after podcast, reading articles to other people. I've not heard nobody mention this one in particular. And I think this is the one that sticks out to me. Me and Tim both have mentioned this one in the past. But first, let's get into Georgia. Uh, who they've played. I'm not going to get into a bunch of stats. I don't want to bore you to death with that kind of stuff. But just so you know, Georgia's played a cupcake schedule so far. They beat Austin Peay 28-6 last week, and beat Marshall the week before 45-7. I guess the more impressive win is Marshall, most people would think, but Marshall bad. Marshall got beat by Missouri State, which is a similar level to East Tennessee State. I mean, Missouri State got smoked. USC, a similar score to what we beat ETSU. So not a good team to beat Marshall. Now Georgia held Marshall to 7 first downs, but Missouri State held them to 12. So, I'm not going to say, which now I will say this about Georgia. Anybody's watched them, and I would just put this, write this down for future if you're better. Georgia plays bad teams, plays down to their competition, and they will get up for the good teams like Tennessee. So what you've seen so far, you kind of throw it away a little bit. But now, there is some concerns on the Georgia side, on their offensive side. Now, their defense is legit. I mean, it always is. I mean, we don't have to tell you. I mean, they got 18 sacks against us in the last 4 games. Georgia's team is outstanding on defense. I mean, they are. But a lot of insiders, I've heard multiple this week, have some concerns about the offense. A little bit about the offensive line and the run game, but they're more concerned about Stockton. And, that Stockton's is the key, I think. He's just, I'll get into that a little bit more when I talk about the keys of the game, but Stockton's a pretty big key. Let's look at the Georgia weapons, though. That's one thing that's a pretty big thing about this game is Georgia went out and got some weapons. Zachariah Branch. I mean, when you're looking at the wide receivers, they're legit. Kobe Young, Noah Thomas, transferred from Texas A&M. Zachariah Branch was transferred from USC. Speedster. Then they got outstanding tight ends, Oscar Delp, you've probably heard, and Lucky Lawson, which is probably the next great one behind him. On the offensive line, though, one little note I should tell you on it. Juan Gaston, if you remember that name or not, but Tennessee recruited him pretty heavily. He's a true freshman. He is slated to start and started the first game but got injured. Him and the right tackle, he's a right guard, and the right tackle, both injured, both supposed to be back this week. That is an interesting stat. I mean, they love him, but a true freshman, that right guard for Georgia, that's different. I'm just going to say different. Where does Tennessee attack this defense, this legit defense? And I've heard several people, not several, two different people mention two players. The nickelback, Aguera, I hope I'm saying that name right. That is a person that I would attack. He's their nickelback. So I could see Staley probably needs a big game. They're not 100% confident in him. And probably their free safety, Kyron Jones, he's a little banged up. Probably the weak link of that safety, and last week he had like a club on his hand. So at least if you know you're throwing it to him, he probably can't intercept it if he still has the club on his hand. Not heard whether or not that's coming off or not. Let me get into the keys of the game. And let's just start back at Gunnar Stockton and what I know about him. First of all, when I've watched him play, and I've seen other people say pretty much the same thing I saw, that kind of confirmed what I saw. He doesn't seem confident, not a confident player. Holds on to it just a little bit too long, and he's just not going to, kind of reminds me of Nico in a way, He's going to probably pull it down and run or throw it away. If there's some tight coverage there, he's not going to risk it. Don't seem to want to throw it across the middle. And that's bothering some people that watches them play. He just seems to be protective. Now, is that being protective because you can't? The only way you can get beat against an Austin Peay or Marshall is to throw in interceptions, maybe. But there is some concern there, and there are some other concerns about Stockton. When he's played what little he has played, you could definitely see some nervousness in him. I mean, he's not super confident in himself. And I can't imagine that he's not played any road games, not a true road game. Not like what he's about to see Saturday. So that is huge, I think. That could very well be a gigantic key in this ball game is what does Stockton do, especially early? Does he get rattled? Does the crowd? I mean, everybody knows Neyland is the loudest. It's the best environment in the country, without a doubt. I'm trying to save up my voice. I'm hoping to go to the game Saturday. And I'm going to scream my rear end off. I hope y'all do too, because that's going to be a big key to this game. We need him rattled, maybe make a mistake early on in this game, maybe overthrow some people, make him not confident, make him skittish, make him make a mistake. All right. Another big part of this game, I feel like. Oh, let me say one more thing about Stockton. He seems to prefer to throw against man-to-man. Now, we run a lot of man-to-man, and that's what we do best is man-to-man, honestly. I'll be interested to see what we do there. He seems to struggle and with the zone and seeing things. He much prefers to see a guy and know that it's man coverage and the guy's on him. He deciphers that and just goes with it a little bit better. So I'll be curious what we do. Do we play more zone? I mean, we play a decent amount of it to some extent. We just don't seem to be our forte, though. We seem to be better at man so far in the season. All right, next key. Uh, Tight ends. I mean, they've got two great ones, and Oscar Delp and Lucky Lawson. I think we got two great ones, Kyle Kitzelman, Ethan Davis. I think I talked about earlier in the video about things we say wrong. I've pointed out to numerous times that we've expected Ethan Davis to have a big career. I'm going on a limb here, giant limb, uh, one that's bouncing about to break. But I'm going on a limb to say this is Ethan Davis's coming out game. I've heard a couple different people mention that, a couple different sources. It is something I predicted before the season started, that if I was going to attack Georgia, given our wide receiver situation, I was going to throw it to our wide receivers a lot the first two games. The Georgia game is going to be tight ends, baby. I really believe that. I believe that's where we're going to make a lot of a lot of first downs. It's on Kelselman, and I really do believe this is Ethan Davis's coming out game. The next big key to this game, I got one more after this one, is explosives. Which team has them, which team don't. Tennessee has to have them. And I think if Georgia has an advantage against Tennessee, it's that I don't know if they necessarily need explosive plays, even though they're very capable. With Zachariah Branch, Kobe Young, Noah Thomas, they're very capable of explosive plays. But I don't know if they actually need them as much as we do. Tennessee needs some explosive plays. We need a touchdown or two where we don't need to drive 14 plays, because I really don't think against this defense, driving down the field is not going to be something we just 12, 14 play drives, punching it in. It's going to be hard to do. I mean, they got a great defense, but I think that's the big thing. And man, the crowd. I mentioned the crowd before, and I want to say one more thing about the crowd. We were 21-1 in the last 22 games. Okay, so going into that game, we need to believe that we can win this ball game. We need to be loud, and if we're down 7-3 early, stay loud. Okay, rest up that voice, be loud. We need some rattled football players. We got a true freshman at right guard. There's going to be some other freshmen playing in this game. Be loud. But the number one key to this game is something that me and Tim's talked about repeatedly, basically since Heupel's been here. And it seemed like there's one thing that's really killed us, and we felt like there was a point to where we needed to get to win. And that is offensive line play. Georgia, especially the first couple of years with Hendon Hooker, they basically played some light boxes and would hold. I mean, if you're a Georgia fan, listen to this video. Just admit it. Y'all hold the wide receivers a little bit, okay? I mean, it's something that's been taught. It's a Kirby Smart thing that he does. I get it. It's actually smart to do it. The ref's not going to call it 5 times. If you can get by with it the whole game, you get 5, 2 times, get called twice, you won. You done good. And that's. But if I was a ref, I'd keep calling it. I mean, especially against these teams that teach it. But anyway, that's going back a little bit there. But the offensive line is the key. Before they've had some big time defensive tackles. Ones that like to spit on other quarterbacks. We've heard of them. We've caught that this week. But guys who are just immovable. I don't really see a guy on that team right now. Maybe Elijah Griffin, maybe he could be that kind of guy. But he's a true freshman, and I think he'll make some noise, but he's not at that level right now. But offensive line play, we need to be able to. That we've always said that the key with Tennessee is We've got to be able to protect. We've got to be able to run the ball. And we've got to be able to just run our offense. I think that's the biggest thing I'm trying to say. Is just we want to run our offense. If you can shut down the running game with a light box, then you're taking us out of the way we like to play. If you can pressure the quarterback with little, without a heavy dose of blitzes, we don't want that. I mean, the offensive line play, and I believe this offensive line is there. I could be wrong. I believe it's there. It's a smart offensive line. We've not allowed hardly any pressure on Aguilar, which we haven't played Georgia's defensive line either. But um, I think that's the biggest key. I think the offensive line is going to play good. We need to give Aguilar time, and we need to run the ball and keep on schedule. And I think that might be, offensive line's the biggest key, but I think that's kind of the key to both teams. Both teams want to stay on schedule. You don't want to be 2nd and 8 all the time, 3rd and 7. That's a recipe for losing the ball game for both teams. And that's where we need to be. We need to stop them on 1st down, and they need to stop us on 1st down. I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm going to predict a win. Okay? I feel like it. I feel like this is the year. We're 22-1 the last 22 games. People just don't come in here and beat us, okay? We have what we need. We have an offensive line. We have the best quarterback, I believe, we've had down there since Hendon Hooker. And I'll tell you something else. I haven't really mentioned at all in this video, and I should have by now. Tennessee has changed their scheme. There's been some big scheme changes. In the passing game, we're playing some tight. We're not going out wide the whole time. I mean, there's a lot of different things we're doing offensively that's different. And we got more we have not showed, according to Joey Heisley. So I think if you're a coach and you were scheming up some of this stuff, who was you thinking of when you done the scheme? To me, it'd be Georgia. I'd be looking at Georgia, what they have done to us. They have gave the footprint to other teams to beat us. So I am looking at Georgia, and I'm doing these schemes specifically for Georgia. So I think that's a big thing. But honestly, I'm between this game being on at Tennessee. I think we have the offensive line now to win this game. I think we got the quarterback to win this game. And we got a better defense than what we had in 21 and 22 when we had those things. I think the crowd is a difference maker in this game. And I'm going to go out and say Tennessee 27, Georgia 21. I think we win this ball game. Well, guys, remember to like and subscribe, comment. Please give me your score prediction. I'd love to hear it. Okay, I'd love to hear what y'all think. Is there something in this keys to this game? Is there something that specifically that you're looking at and you're like, okay, this is what I think is a big determining factor in this ball game. Guys, that's all I got. I appreciate you, and we'll talk to you next time. Go Vols.